Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome. I see we have, first, let me say thank you, Betsy, for coming. And I appreciate you coming for this specific conversation, especially.
And thank you, Deb. Thank you for putting this together. And I am really happy to come out and play with everybody. And yeah, it's always my privilege to be a guest on people's channels. So thanks for the invite.
Thank you. And how are you doing today? Is everything?
I'm doing wonderfully, actually. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I can't complain too much.
Yeah, cool.
Let's say hi to a few people who are here. Cardamancy Mesquite, Angela. She couldn't wait.
Oh,
Medium Betsy Palmer is here.
aloha oi, you smell like poi. That's what.
And Lisa Rhodes has joined us.
Hi, Lisa.
Mysterious Mystical Moments. Let's see. Gerald Tarot Stash is with us. And I believe I saw Lottie B.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw that too.
And the Cosmic Orphan, Stephen.
Hi. Howdy. Good morning. Well, it's morning here anyway.
And then it jumped.
Yep.
Niñas. I do not know Niñas.
Hi, welcome. Welcome.
Welcome. Hypnicity. Nalani is here. Hi, Nalani. Aquila B24. And let's see, Sue Toffee.
Hi. Wow, what a great crowd.
Rossi's Den. Hi, Rossi. And Swampy. I haven't seen you in a while, Swampy. Welcome.
Ooh.
And let's see, I think, one more, Cat Mama Meow. And her
Cool.
Dewdrop In.
Great name.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hi, Claudia. So, all right. So,
are you guys all ready for the chat? I am so excited about this chat. This is my favorite kind of work.
I appreciate everyone being here because this is a topic that everyone likes to hear about. And I have been discovering whether or not I am able to do what we're about to talk about. So and Betsy is experienced in this subject, so she's going to kind of guide me through.
Yeah, it's such a, hey, there's Plucky Heroine, favorite name on the internet. So this is something that I think there's never going to be enough episodes and chats about, because this can be an ability that can seem very subtle, and it can seem, whoops, get myself straightened out here. Wrong way. It can seem like it's something you're making up. It's in your imagination that, especially if you're a creative person, this can feel very like a daydreaming kind of thing. Yeah. And hey, Miss Tarot D. Hi, how are you today? Hope you're feeling well. Just want you guys to know that there's a lot of folks that have these same kinds of questions and experiences. And I think there's so many folks that are a part of this group that just don't understand that there are a whole lot of other people in the same place. And yes, coming together and having the discussion can really help build confidence and help you feel not alone, not isolated, and part of a community. So here we are.
So the subject we're talking about is channeling. What is channeling? How do you do it? Does it just happen? that kind of thing. So our so we're going to use me for a guinea pig. And we're going to talk about my experience because that's the one I know about. Uh, and we've had Melinda False Teeth Realtor came in and Vanessa S. So welcome. Come in and have a seat, grab a beverage of your choice,
Yep.
and uh, join us in the conversation. Now, I will say also that later on, if I actually do channel, I may not be able to keep up with the with the with the comments. So Betsy is going to do her best to look at those.
With my mediocre mod skills, I'll try and keep up.
You're not trying to, we know you're there and we know that you have comments. So
yeah. So this is not necessarily a conversation of mini readings, gang. This is questions are welcome, but we're going to be exploring what is channeling.
yeah,
Are you doing it? Do you not know it and you're doing it?
I think that many of us in our community do that they channel and they don't realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
And then
Which
you
is
tell them later that maybe they were doing that and they don't believe it.
yeah, which is a great place to start. What
Yeah.
is channeling? What
So,
is it? Deb, what do you think?
what I think it is that we are getting messages from outside of ourselves, from across the veil, that we couldn't possibly know or is beyond our pay grade.
Yeah, that's great. I myself think of it as receiving communication from non-physical beings that are much, much wiser than I.
Yes.
That's what I think.
And have knowledge that we aren't necessarily privy to
Yeah.
in
I
this.
I think human beings have a really limited breadth and scope of intellectual ability, thinking ability, the mind, whatever. I think it is limited. You know, they talk about us only using so much portion of our brain. I don't think it's that so much as it takes a lot of effort. Thanks, guys. It takes a lot of effort to be inside this physical vehicle. It takes a
Yes.
lot of focus to be in this body. And I think we wanted to come to this body on earth for such strong, important reasons that I think it's necessary to honor that and to
Yeah.
not beat yourself up about not thinking broad enough or not being able to unleash your abilities, to remember that the number one reason you are here in a body on earth is because you needed to be here on earth in a body,
Yes.
and to not be hard on yourself about that.
Yes. And we agreed to forget.
Yes.
So all of the abilities we came with, we agreed that we would forget them and put them kind of on a back burner so that we could do this thing that we signed up for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, along with that thought of what is channeling, the other side of that is, how is that different from mediumship?
I think that's a good question because mediumship, we're generally trying to speak directly to someone who's um, passed on, an ascended master. We're trying to speak specifically to a being we can't see. Whereas channeling, we're not necessarily speaking to, we're giving information. We're a conduit for information.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I myself think it's the same ability. I think that the ability is, there is no difference at all. I use the two terms just to help clarify, mostly for the querents that come to see me. If people are coming to contact relatives, which is very, very, very important for many of us, to contact a loved one on the other side, to help get some closure, to get some answers. That is what I talk about doing work as a medium, that I am in between them. I'm in the middle, I'm the medium, helping to facilitate the conversation between two people, one informed, one not informed.
Yes.
Or a pet, can be a pet.
Yes. Can be a pet.
And I refer to channeling as when I am contacting non-physical entities, whether they be angels, guides, celestial beings, what have you, in the spirit realm, angels, any of that stuff.
So it's basically a technical difference, not a practical difference.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said, Deb. Bravo. And if anybody has anything to add on that, just Gerald is a great mod.
Yes.
If anybody has that, oh, thank you, Plucky Heroine. I was just going to say, if anybody has a question or something to add, please pop it in. How does channeling correlate to intuition and or premonition?
Well, that's a good question.
I can tackle that pretty fast. Intuition is our ability to communicate with the non-physical. Intuition is things that gives us the warnings, gives us the advice. It's our instincts about how to keep ourselves safe and how to protect ourselves, as well as a little bit of a broader vision of seeing things. Like when you're driving down the road and there's a stoplight coming and you're like, ooh, what should I do here? Am I going to make it through the stoplight? And all of a sudden you just know that you're not going to make it through the stoplight. So don't try and rush. It's going to turn as soon as you get there. Intuition.
So that is our ability to take what we know, our learned experience, and what we see happening, and to be able to see how that's going to work out. We can see the end result from the consequences of the actions. Whereas channeling is, as you said, communication with beings that we can't see.
Yeah. I think if someone is tuned into their intuition, that helps the ability as a communicator. If somebody is closed off to their intuition, whether they be a skeptic or for religious reasons, or maybe they're scientific based and very three-dimensional based, their intuition is shut down. So chances are they're not so plugged into their ability to communicate in the non-physical realm.
Right. So it helps to be in tune to your intuition, because we all have it. It's just whether or not we pay attention to it.
So while we're on intuition, let's jump down to Gerald's question. We'll come back to premonition. Does having a good intuition mean we could channel? I think that's a really personal question. I think it's the kind of thing that people need to be really open and honest with themselves about what they want to do.
Yes.
I mean, I think we all are born with the ability to channel. I don't think we all need to, or we all should channel.
Or want to. So our free will enters into whether or not we can channel.
Yeah, Gerald said he was already answering it. Yeah. Good intuition is helpful, definitely helpful. Yeah. So let's jump back to the premonition. Deb, what do you think?
How does it relate to premonition? My instinct is that premonition is related to channeling more than it's related to intuition.
My instinct is that premonition is related to the clairs. I think it's along in the line, the psychic ability of claircognizance, kind of. That it is one of the gifts, and it is kind of an area of specialty, so to speak, which we're going to touch on in a little bit. That's on our list to touch on. But I myself do not have the gift of premonition. It's not my field of expertise. Can I know something? Yes. Sometimes I get an awareness of an outcome. Sometimes if someone asks a question, especially in chat about especially medical stuff, I can get a sense, a little bit of a grip on that, but I don't have precognitive dreams. Doesn't happen. How about you, Deb?
I don't either. Sometimes I have flashes that are not really premonition because they're like concurrent with the event. So I have a very vivid memory of seeing and looking at a clock and seeing an explosion, and my uncle's plane exploded at that time. So it's not exactly a premonition because it happened at the same time.
Simultaneous. Yeah.
So I don't usually have that gift of premonition.
That sounds like a really like uber level clairvoyance kind of thing. That one.
Right.
If you're seeing things that are happening simultaneously, that's like kind of a superpower. That's pretty cool.
A superpower I didn't know I had. I can't do it all the time, though. So.
Let's touch on this one from Mysterious Mystical Moments. Lisa, is premonition warning dreams? Not necessarily a warning. I mean, I think Hollywood has spun premonition into the dark side, but I think we can get premonitions of wonderful things. Why not?
That is, yes, we can. And sometimes it's okay to know a thing and not be able to change it. So I don't know that would be a warning. That would just be a knowing.
Yeah. I'm looking at Plucky's because she said thanks. And I'm kind of rolling through the chat to see if there's, because I think False Teeth Real Tarot said, I believe if I want to channel a certain someone, it's like being a mediator between spirit and the direct target. I feel the same way. I tell people that imagine you're looking at an old stereo system. There's the radio receiver, then there's a cord that runs to a speaker. So the beings are the radio. Their message passes through the cord. My mouth is the speaker. It looks like it's me saying it, but I'm just transferring the information.
Right. And then Hypnicity, Nalani asked about like having a dream of her grandmother passing the night before she died. So that is a premonition.
Yeah. And at 13, I can see how that would be really upsetting.
Yes.
Especially if you were close with your grandmother. And yeah, that would, yes. That's totally understandable. Totally understandable that at 13, you're questioning yourself so much. There's some stuff you just don't want to know.
Absolutely. Rossi's Den said that my sister dreams if there is a death or a new baby in the family. And she even has premonitions of the sex of the baby. So awesome. That's amazing. Oops, I missed.
Oh, hey, Pamela. Hi.
I'm trying to catch. There she is.
Yep. Cool. That seems to me like we caught up with the chat on everybody.
I just wanted to add, Hypnicity said I hardly knew her. talking about her grandmother passing, but your grandmother knew you. So
Yeah.
I had a visitation from someone that I didn't know personally, and it just because you barely know them doesn't mean they don't know you.
Oh, and here's something, Linda Bishop. Hi, I don't know that we. Oh, and there's Jonathan. Aloha, brother. Hope you're feeling better. Prolific dreams, such as Roy Rogers visiting Dale in the hospital, and I woke up knowing he had died. Wow.
You're telling your age, Linda. That is that's a premonition.
Yeah, and that is almost yeah. That one sometimes it's like you're kind of going astral a little bit, out of body, to go to a place and see these people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of rules about what's possible and what's not. Working as a medium has changed that for me. There's every time I think I know some stuff. So I have another client that proves that I know nothing. So
And I have that same philosophy. I don't have a whole lot of rules about this entire subject, that everything is fair game.
So Linda, I want to go hang out with you in the cemetery in cemeteries in Hollywood, because I think you've got a pretty direct line of communication to these people. I want to go on Halloween to a cemetery and hang out with you.
And go to the, yes, where all the famous people.
Okay, so let's take Gerald's question and roll it in with the second question on my list. Hashtag overachiever. How long, Deb, do you think you've been able to channel?
I think for most of, if not all of my life.
Okay. Can you share with us and what you consider like the first experience you accepted as channeling? Do you have an awareness of that?
Having a memory of when I was about 5 years old. My dad, my dad was coming home from the war, from Vietnam. And I remember being on the front porch of the house and seeing a plane go overhead. And I told my mother that he was home. And she said, "Oh, no, it's not time. It's going to be another day or two before he gets here." And in a few minutes, my dad drove up in a cab. The taxi driver had picked him up at the airport. This taxi driver hung out because it was Vietnam. There was disrespectful stuff going on when they came home.
Mm-hmm.
So this taxi driver went to the airport every day on his time off and picked up soldiers to get them out of the line of fire.
Wow.
when they,
Oh, bless his soul. My
so
God.
he drove up in front of the home where we were living. And, we didn't get to do all the things we were going to do because we were going to pick him up. But that's my first memory of knowing something that happened.
Okay. That's cool. And how old were you then? Did you say that already? You were 5?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. So you were doing this, yeah, like a lot of us, doing it
Mm-hmm.
from a very young age. Did you shut it down for a while after that?
Oh,
Somewhere?
yeah. Not as a child, I didn't, but as I got older and I started to read cards and all that kind of thing when I was a kid. And as I grew older, I would be right with my readings. And so I started to get readings that my mother was ill and that she was going to pass, and I would not accept it. I told her everything that, the other things, that it's a lifestyle change, or you're going to change careers, and lo and behold, she became ill and she passed. And when that happened, I didn't want to know. So
Right.
I shut it down. I shut it down for about 34 years.
Okay. Totally fair. So let's tackle Gerald's question. And here's the rub, what is a simple way to tell if you are channeling? Now, I think for me, what I want to say about this is when I was learning to accept that ability, I was not communicating with other people that were involved in all of this, so I had no frame of reference and no way of validating what was happening. But what helped me was automatic writing and journaling. And I could tell a difference between the words I thought of and the words that somebody else told me.
Because it wasn't your regular language that you used.
Wasn't necessarily my regular phrasing, and not my general perspective, didn't match my belief systems necessarily, or it was things that was just a lot smarter than what I knew.
Right.
How about you, Deb? What's a simple way to tell if you're channeling? Or is that the whole reason we're here?
Part of the reason that we're here, but for me, there are times that I don't remember what I said in a reading. I don't remember what came out of my mouth. So I'm pretty sure that was channeling. And that's my biggest tell so far. I'm sure I do it other times when I'm more connected, but I'm still getting the information. So I'm trying to learn to recognize when that happens.
So as time has gone by for me, I can recognize it by the way I feel inside. And that one, how do you even begin to describe that to somebody else? But it's an internal sensation that I'm tapped in, tuned in, turned on, and that the information that I'm receiving is coming from other sources. I tell my clients that I am marinating in a bowl of love soup. That's how I describe it to them.
And that's an interesting feeling. Okay, here is something else. When you said that, I was in love soup. So that may be another sort of aspect of channeling. I am very tuned in when someone describes their experience, then I can see it or feel it, or both. So that's another aspect, maybe, of channeling.
As far as a physical sensation, what I can verbalize fairly well is that it feels like my chest is expanding. Yeah. And I feel like there's so much going on in the chat that
There was lots going on.
we didn't need Angela here. I want to answer something Lottie B asked, or feel like I leave because it feels like waking up after a nap when the spirit leaves. Cool. I don't go that deep. I have partial awareness. I don't go into trance. What about you, Deb?
I very rarely go into trance.
Yeah. I do, and Lottie B, her question is her comment is pretty much the same. Do you have full control when channeling? So you could stop it while doing it if you wanted to. Yeah, like I said, I'm partially in, partially out. I have partial awareness. So yes, there have been times when I will be channeling and that is coming through, but the human part of my brain is recognizing some resistance or something going on with the humans in the room that is unaccepting, unwilling, uninviting the process. And I can pull myself up out of it and I will address it at that time. So, yeah.
So, and that's another thing to be aware of is the listeners, whoever we're speaking with, whoever our audience is, that if we're aware that they are uncomfortable or they don't believe what you're doing or something like that, it's good to be aware and not be so immersed in the channel that you're not able to recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan mentioned he shut down in his 20s because it was overwhelming and it wasn't going to stay closed. Yeah. Self-protect.
It won't stay closed. If you can do it, it will keep nagging at you.
Yeah. Linda Bishop, I should have a YouTube channel, but I don't read cards.
You don't need to.
Yeah. I think we have some commonalities in the way we see the world, Linda.
Betsy doesn't ordinarily read cards.
Yeah.
You can, but
Yeah, but I usually don't. Yeah. And I tend to like to hang out with the dead more than the living. I can have fun at a ghost cocktail party, but I'm terrible at a human cocktail party. Huh.
I am too.
Yeah, I ran across a meme the other day of a baby possum clinging to somebody's ankle, and it said, "When you're at a party and there's only one person you know."
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to a question because I've lost track and I'm having so much fun, and we're a half an hour in, and we've done 2 questions. Deb, how long did it take you to accept your ability to channel?
Nearly 60 years. A long time. Nearly 60 years. Just recently.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was 30. Yeah. And it was 30 to accept that I could do it. And then it was another 20 before I did in public.
So you were a covert channeler.
I was in the closet. Yeah. I was in the closet. Yep. And I would get information that I would pass on to friends and family, but yeah. And I didn't even decide the day to go public. My guides just came in one day and go, "Okay, it's time. Here we go." And I'm like, "What? Where? Huh? No, we got it." And I'm like, "Well, how? Look where we are. What am I supposed to do?" And they're like, Nope, we got it. Don't do anything. Don't worry about it." Yeah. And it was just a couple of months. Boom, I was out there.
That's kind of where I am today because my guides have recently done that.
So, see?
You just caught up. It's time. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Well, what do I do? And they're like, no. We got it.
Right. No instruction, no nothing. Just
yeah. Okay, so Deb, who or what do you believe you communicate with while channeling?
I believe I'm communicating with my spirit team. Now, I don't necessarily know which one of my spirit team, whether it's angels, guides. I usually know if it's an ancestor or an ascended master. But as far as angels and guides, they don't like to necessarily identify themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I used to think that understanding who I was communicating with was important. Um, but I was told in the 1990s to name me is to limit me.
Mm,
Gave that up because, in the 80s and early 90s, it was really popular to channel something or someone like Ramtha. That was really big to have a guru.
right.
Uh, and I was told no. And every time I think I have a handle on that, on it, what dimension, what type of being, I'm proven wrong because I'll be in the middle of a session and it'll be some being of extraordinary intelligence and ability that's never had a physical body, and I'll be like, well, who, what, where? And they're like, let it go, hon. Let it go.
Beings in the spirit realm recognize each other by vibrations. They don't label themselves the way we do.
And I think it's kind of, I'm prompted to mention this because the next question I was going to ask you, Deb, is were you ever frightened? I
I
myself
have,
have been very lucky.
I have not been frightened. Um, I believe I owe that to my spirit team who make sure that I'm not frightened.
Yeah, I believe that too. I believe my team recognized I had very little protection abilities when I was quite young, and so it was up to them to protect me.
Yes.
Um, and now, as I am doing a lot more work like this on this kind of a format, very, very public, very open.
Yes.
Um, a while ago, I got what I consider a second dimensional gatekeeper by the name of Kelvin, who protects me um, and helps me if something comes up and I need some help with a darker or lower sort of experience or
Energy.
energy or an event like house
Yes.
clearing or something. Kelvin will come in and tell me what tools I need to bring and la 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 and what to do. So I'm like so protected and so fortunate because clearly my team, who knows much more than me, understands my limitations. And I believe they step up to do that protection.
And also, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, I am open. So I now I know how to protect myself. But when I was growing up and younger, I didn't know how to protect myself. So I was just open. So now I have learned how to protect myself and still be open enough to receive messages.
Yeah, let's and which is the next question? Funny how that goes. How do you protect yourself? Psychic hygiene is a real thing.
It is.
And yeah,
Um, I meditate a lot. I have specific incense I might burn or sage. It depends on what I'm doing. Do I need to clear? Am I calling in? So if I'm calling in protection, that's different than clearing. So I'll use something different. I use sound. I there are a number of things I do to protect myself, and then I have specific kind of rituals I do. Like I set up a safe and sacred space before I do a show. So there are I do several things for psychic hygiene.
yeah, yeah. Um, I go swimming in the ocean a lot.
Mhm.
Salt bath. And I do a little Tai Chi thing to get myself kind of centered. And yes, I have my little sprays. I like to smudge. I do call protection around me. At work and at home, I will light candles. But at work, I have every opening now. I have a ritual. I light a candle. I say prayers. I ask many, many people now. The list keeps getting longer. May you all know loving kindness. I say prayers for all the people that may come into the store, and I do ring my bells in all 3 rooms to keep the space clear, to keep my intentions set.
Yes. Yes. And even something like washing your hands or taking a bath can be part of your psychic hygiene. I think it's Wisdom Seeker Joan uses the image. She has really good imagery. So she uses like a laser kind of thing that she goes up and down her body that cleans her body, her mind, her spirit, her aura. She cleanses all of it every time she does a reading. So that's there are whatever works for you. That's what you should do.
I do a lot of grounding too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna talk a little bit about methods of receiving. Yes, Gerald, absolutely. Yeah, and there's all kinds of chatter. What? Jonathan has crystals?
I never heard of it.
Okay. So receiving communication. What kind of methods are the clairs involved? How do you recognize that? Which way does that information come in for you?
As I've been growing in my ability and exploring and trying to practice and do different things, I've come to recognize several. Before, I was mostly just claircognizant, and I would just have a knowing, or I'd occasionally be clairvoyant and I would see something. As time has gone on, I'm more clairaudient, so I don't usually hear things outside of me, like someone speaking that's not there, although I have done that, but mostly I hear inside my head, and I get like songs and lyrics kind of thing, or I have uh, kind of like mini visions where I see like a little movie sometimes. So I have sometimes my mother comes with smells. So it depends on what it is. I have to one degree or another most of the clairs.
Yeah, I would concur. I would concur. I think clairaudience is my strongest, but claircognizance, clairsentience for sure as an empath, right? Clairsentience, you feel it.
You feel it, yes.
And clairvoyance, probably, I wish it were more. I get it, but not a whole heck of a lot of it. It's probably my team trying to protect me from seeing a bunch of stuff that's not going to be helpful.
Right.
Because we have agreements about that. I don't want a giant creature at the foot of my bed at 3 a.m. No.
I
Sorry.
understand that completely.
Yes. Yes. If they're going to come and they're going to be giant, they better show up as Totoro. Otherwise, it's not happening. I'm under the blankets like I was as a kid. Forget it.
And you know what's funny is some of my guides are giant creatures. So
Right? I think there's a reason we all have this thing about no giants in my bedroom. You hear that a lot. I think there's a reason for that, right?
yes.
Like, yeah, okay. I'm going to try not to digress, but Deb, you said smells. That's going to make me digress because my workspace, the entire property on the resort I am on, is old sacred Hawaiian grounds, and there's lots of ghosts. There was a report of a woman that's like from the shoulders up that walks around on the walking path in the morning with all the tourists, and somebody saw her full on and went to security all freaked out that they saw half a woman running, and they're just like, oh, it happens all the time.
That's
So
funny. What are they going to do?
my workspace, we have our resident ghosts. My coworker has seen full body apparitions a couple times. They come and play games, but the smell part, sorry for digression here, they will give ghost farts every now and then. I thought it was just me. I asked Deborah, she agrees. I said, do you ever smell something funny sometimes, like a body function funny? She's like, yes, what is that? Ghost farts. I have finally busted them out on it, and they've stopped doing it for now. But they're gonna. I have no doubt they'll think of something else now. Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that Linda Bishop has subscribed, and she's the 234th subscriber to your channel.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we should talk. I think we have a lot of things in common there. Don't you love a good graveyard? I just love it. Yeah, I did. Yes, they think they're so clever. They think they're so funny. Yes, I can't wait to see what they come up with next. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so where were we now? So Deb, how long do you think you have been utilizing channeled information in your spiritual pursuits for yourself and for others?
I think I've been actively utilizing it for about 4 or 5 years.
Cool. Do you think you were doing that before you knew it? Even when you were kind of shut down, don't you think it was always kind of there with you?
It was. I'm very much like a cat. I have always landed on my feet, and I've never been worried about what was going to happen. So my only explanation for that is that I was using the channeled information.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a time we've run through my list. Somebody has a specific question they have asked, we've missed it, or they want to ask, pop it in right now. But this would be the time when I would ask you, Deb, if you would like to demonstrate some channeling.
I would.
Okay. And we do have a couple of questions prepared, and that we have we've reviewed. So we are prepared. Oh, wait, Linda, sorry, I have to say, Linda, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Oh yeah, sweet. Civil War is, oh man, that's some good stuff there. Whew. Yeah, that's like eating tiramisu when you go hang out around a Civil War battlefield, isn't it? And she said she sent demons away. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you don't have to accept them. I tell people all the time, this is a volunteer position.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it.
No. You have free will. And if it scares you, if it's really uncomfortable and you don't want to do it, don't do it.
If it's not serving you, no. And this is your contract. I tell people all the time this as well. Write the contract. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? When are you available? How long do you want to do this per episode? Write it out like a contract and be specific. Your guides will honor it and will respect you for having boundaries.
Yes.
You set terms.
Yes.
And Jill says, and you can take a vacation for a while. Yeah. Until your life falls apart and then you're back. Oh, did I say that out loud?
No, we didn't hear that.
Do either of you use tools to help you channel? Well, you guys know I'm a jewelry girl, so I tend to have jewelry tchotch as my go-to stuff. I'm pretty much layered up in jewelry, and I have lots of statuary and crystals around on my table and seashells. Yeah. I
use tools. I use pendulums, cards, crystals.
I use
Some of,
pen and paper.
some of my guides and deities are around me in one form or another.
Yeah. Pen and paper for me is the strongest. I'd sit down and prepare to be of service. And is there anything I need to know? And they just tell me what to write down.
Hi, Sharon. Review the contract regularly, yes.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I'm trying to catch Karen. Karen
Oh,
Ross.
jewelry, right. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, plique azure, the stuff made with glass. Oh my god, Art Nouveau, so pretty, so pretty. Belle Epoque, baby, Belle Epoque, all the way. Um, cool. So at this point, if everybody would like to kind of hold some space for Deb to sink into her space, that there was a couple of questions that we thought we could ask her guides that would be helpful. Is there anything you would like to do to prepare, Deb?
Just ask the question, I think.
Yeah. Thanks, Gerald. I felt that. Okay. Oh, okay. They're telling me I'm going to go to the bottom question first. And so, for Deborah's guides and all her wise beings, is there a natural affinity for a specific subject or a specific type of work that Deb is particularly strong in?
She has the ability to see things from the broader perspective, to see how a thing is working, and then what the end will be, what will be the end result, whether or not it will be a positive outcome or a negative outcome. She can see the path that it's walking and all of the different turns, and be able to tell you whether or not it will be successful.
Are you complete?
No. She can walk into the spirit realm and see what's happening there, to see whether or not someone is working toward fulfilling their contract, or if they are dragging their feet, so to speak. She can see above, and those who are working toward the highest good for all people. She can see that the humans that are doing that, and she can see those in the spirit realm that are doing that. She can see the different beings and how they are all one thing, one consciousness, one working for the highest good of all. She can see when we rejoice, and she can see when we are disappointed. And by doing that, then she can find the right advice and try to bestow that to those who would listen. She is the one that holds the door open and holds the light.
That's beautiful. Are you complete?
Yes.
How would you prefer to connect with Deborah?
We come more easily when there are questions. She does not like to ask questions herself. She wants someone else to learn. She has much experience and much observation. So she is not curious about the things that others are. So it's more difficult if she does not have a question. If she has a question, we can come and just answer.
Are you complete?
Yes.
Does Deb need to have a schedule or a ritual to connect with you?
That is not necessary. All she has to do is sit and be quiet, or even be doing whatever tasks she has. We can come at any time. It is more comfortable for her, perhaps, to have a schedule, but we are content to have this openness that we have now.
That probably answers this next question, but I'm going to ask it again just because we have it. Is there a specific method of preparation that's beneficial?
There is not, but the preparation of her mind to be able to accept is, to her, not necessary but helpful. So we can come at any time, but she has preferences on when we should not be there or when we should not interfere.
Yeah, I'm going off script here, but I'm feeling there's an element of an emotional investment and emotional desire of Deb's of wanting to join space with her team that that perhaps is part of the method, that there's an emotional there's a desire within her that provokes an emotion of caring that helps facilitate your connection.
We would agree there is a place she goes where we are inside of the place she calls her place of healing, across a bridge to a meadow and down a staircase in a tree to another meadow. And we are in that place. And she has an emotional connection to that place and those of us who are there, because we are all here.
Wonderful. And the last question that I have to ask for you is there anything else that you would like Deb to do so you can all get more comfortable in communicating together?
Practice, do more practice, and When we come, recognize us, that we are helping you, that we are here, and we can facilitate those hard things, the hard emotions, the hard events. We can help you walk that path. And we do that by practice.
Are you complete with that?
Yes.
I have a sense, and I want to say that if Deb can fully trust the communication with you, that if there is a subject that may seem energetically or emotionally costly, if there's an outcome that seems like it may have a concern, or if there's news that Deb may have concern of sending out to someone, bad news per se, or a challenge ahead, that if Deb's trust in your ability to make the outcome rewarding, no matter the message, no matter what's going on, the outcome of the message will be rewarding. I'm not sure if I'm communicating this clearly enough, but this is what I'm getting, is that by trusting what the wisdom you have to convey, no matter if it seems a chancy communication, the outcome will be beneficial.
We understand. She has great trust in us, but sometimes wants to exert her own will. Mostly, she trusts us to give her the correct information. It is a matter of practicing so that she knows that she can depend on what we give her and that it is for her highest good and the highest good of those that she speaks to or touches. We will work on this thing.
It's a little chicken and egg. With trust comes comfort. With
Yes,
comfort comes trust.
yes, yes.
I understand. Would you please offer us any final words in our conversation today?
The most important thing is to be. You are human beings, not human doings. Be who you are. That is your gift.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you. We thank the guides for their willingness to come out and play with us today. It's our privilege and a treasure to share space with you.
Well, I'm assuming that I said some things. I'm teary and a little emotional.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. Luckily, we have the playback. We are smart enough.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what we did this here, so there would be playback.
Yeah. And the trust and the comfort thing, I totally get. And practice. All those things go hand in hand. It really is a perfectly balanced triangle because when I was doing a seance group. I did a monthly group before COVID for a year and a half or so, and I really enjoyed it. But the first time the guides told me to ask the group, Squirrel Nutkin, who's got Squirrel Nutkin? Which one of you guys can claim Squirrel Nutkin? To a group of strangers, and to see the looks. But to know it would all work out, to just say, okay, moving on, and to know that it would work out in the end. Sure enough, Squirrel Nutkin found its home. But nevertheless, yeah, to say some things sometimes can be like walking a tightrope for the first time. It can be frightening. Oh, Gerald, all caps. What do you remember, Deb?
Not very much. I remember being in my my place of healing and going to the place where I see my guides. Not much else.
Well, it's in there. It's in there on the playback. That'll be so cool for you. Yeah. Yeah, I can remember bits and pieces. But that's temporary.
I know you were asking questions, and that's about all I remember, that you were asking questions.
Yeah. And even the little bits that I do remember, if people come back a week later and say, well, do you remember when you told me? And I'll be like, huh? No clue. Yeah, no clue. Yeah. That was a really great space. It felt really, really nice to me.
It did to me too, other than being a little weepy now.
Yeah. You know, that was part of my argument with my guides about going public, because I cry a lot when you really get to that sweet spot, when you know you are bullseye on target. I tend to cry, and I was like, hey, nobody's ponying up real American dollars to come see the crying psychic. You know, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. Knock it off.
And there's a lot of us that do it.
Yeah, but this isn't really feasible. This isn't sustainable here. I'll be dehydrated by the end of the day.
Yes. So I drink plenty of water.
Yeah. Gerald, so when are we getting together to practice again? Yeah, we'll discuss that.
We will.
Maybe we can do a reflection after you've had time to process and rewatch a little bit and sit with it all. Yes, The Crying Psychic, new on TLC this season. Yeah.
You spoke that into the universe. We will see it pop up.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be out there. Yeah. So yeah, when you've had time to sit with this all and assimilate everything, then we can have a little roundup discussion of what it was like on the aftermath and feedback for you on how it was. And then maybe we can field some questions. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh my goodness. You forgot people listening to you also might be crying.
Oh, it is a cry fest.
It is.
Yeah, Beth, it's 100%. It's like I have to. I always have the box of tissues beside the table when I have a client.
I always have them handy.
What was this?
Linda Bishop speaks other languages when she goes into a trance.
Oh, yeah. Not helpful to me. I tell them all the time, okay, y'all, knock it off up there. I need one representative to communicate what's important, and it better be in a language I understand, and speak slowly. Yeah, that one doesn't work for me. It's kind of fun, and it can be funny, but doesn't work for me.
Crying is a release of energy.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, that's how I know I'm on target. When I have really gotten to a core spot of importance in a session, that's it. It's like yeah, like a squirt gun.
So, yes. So when they come, they need to come with a language that you understand. That's
And slow it down. Slow it
helpful.
down. Humans are slow. We're dense. Yeah.
We're slow, and we're not as in tune to being able to speak telepathically. You
Yeah.
don't need a language.
Well, and when we get those downloads, when we get that chunk of information all at once, we feel it and know it from the beginning to the end. We can just understand it through a feeling. But it doesn't mean that you're able to verbalize that. And it comes so fast and so hard that I find that the words come out in chunks of different sentences that don't string together. It's like you start a sentence, there's a middle of another one, and then it's discombobulated. So in here in Hawaii, we call it kapakai. It's all kapakai. It's all turned around. So yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, Jonathan, because I hear songs all the time and they relate to whatever I'm supposed to know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know why, because I think in dream time you're astral, and so you're in somebody else's world or another alternate parallel life that you are living concurrently. And if it's in Germany, they're speaking German, you're going to be speaking German too.
Right?
Yeah.
Or wherever you are.
Yeah. Wherever you are. Yeah. Interstellar. Cool. Does anybody else have a question or anything else to say? Deb, is there anything we haven't covered for you?
Well, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But the questions I remember and remember answering, they covered pretty much everything. So thank you, Angela. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you'd like to add?
No. Wait, Deb, are you thirsty?
I am actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Sip, sip. Is there anything I'd like to add? Yeah, that's always a good question.
That is a good question. Yeah, I need to drink some water and possibly lie down for a little bit.
Yeah. Consuming something liquid or solid, food or beverage, usually is really helpful.
You know, I planned for that and cooked something that I have in the refrigerator to heat up. So I may do that as well.
Yeah, it just helps you get back into the 3D for sure. Um, I think this was wonderful. I love doing this kind of stuff for me. Deb and I were talking about this before the show that my spiritual path was so hit and miss. I didn't have a specific mentor or a method. It was just all slapdash, patched together, glean a little something here, something there. So to be able to hold space with anybody, yeah, naps. Yeah, that too. To be able to hold space with anybody that is deepening spiritually for me is always a big joy for me.
And it was really beneficial to me because I've been doing things I didn't know I was doing for a long time. So it's helpful for me to be able to kind of put those in a place where I can see them and know what they are and know what new tools I can use.
Oh, Deb, they're telling me that when you do the playback, if you start watching yourself and it's uncomfortable, to just turn the computer around or get up and walk around while you're listening. If watching yourself channel is uncomfortable, it might be easier to remove that sensory input.
Okay, I will write that down.
I think you're going to figure it out. If some people don't like to watch themselves on the screen. So if that happens, you know what's up.
And I rarely do. I almost never watch a playback.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I want to be mindful of everyone's time. We've been here an hour and 15 minutes, and I really appreciate you coming, Betsy, and helping me with this. I appreciate everyone in chat that came and experienced this with us. I appreciate you and everyone who will see it later on. So,
And if anybody has questions, please reach out.
Yes.
You're not alone on this.
Yes, if you have any questions, reach out. And if you feel like you have been doing this, let us know.
Yeah. If you go to my website, which is just this.com, there's a place for an inquiry if you want to email me privately. There's that too.
So until next time,
Ahui ho.
will be.